Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles Sabanz. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a hell of a show in store for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So yesterday, Charles Barkley made a guest appearance on the Bill Simmons podcast. And during his visit, he was discussing the drama at inside the NBA. We know the back and forth. At one point, I just decided I'm not even going to follow that story anymore. I'm not going to cover it because none of it makes sense to me anymore. Once we're at one point, the show was being canceled. Then we're hearing the show's coming back. Then we heard Charles Barkley's retiring. Then we hear he's not retired. I was like, man, I'm tired. Like I'll just wait and see how everything plays out. Right? I'm tired of that story. They discussed that. He touched on Caitlin Clark. He had some pretty strong views about that. But then he also decided to talk about the Boston Celtics. I believe Bill Simmons is a Boston Celtics fan. I think he's from Boston, Massachusetts. I could be wrong, but I believe he's from there. So they were talking about the Boston Celtics. Now, what do we know about the Boston Celtics over the last year? Number one, they had the number one record in the entire NBA, certainly in the Eastern Conference, with a 64-18 record. They were led by their top players like Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals. Jaylen Brown won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. They go to the NBA Finals and they make quick work of the Dallas Mavericks, who looked absolutely impressive in the Western Conference Finals against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who had actually stunned or shocked the reigning defending NBA champs at the time, the Denver Nuggets. They go to the NBA Finals. They win the NBA Finals. Jaylen Brown is the Finals MVP. What happens after that? Subsequently, an amalgamation of NBA players went to represent the United States in the Paris 2024 Olympics. We then looked at the roster and we quickly discovered that the Finals MVP did not make the cut. As a matter of fact, when Kawhi Leonard dropped out, he was replaced not by Jaylen Brown, but by his teammate Derek White. So then what happens after that? They disrespect him. Jaylen Brown goes out there and makes some comments. Him and Grant Hill have they exchange one or two words. You have that. Then we get to the games themselves. And then what does Steve Kerr and these guys do? They totally disrespect Jayson Tatum by basically DNPing him for some games and virtually playing him no minutes, to the point where some NBA players started rooting against Team USA for how they were disrespecting, get this, the only American player last year in the NBA to make the all-first NBA team. I'll repeat that once more. Jayson Tatum was the only American player to make the all-NBA first team last season. Yes, you heard me correctly. Yes. So what happens? We fast forward to the show with Bill Simmons. And at one point they're going to discuss the Boston Celtics. Then Charles Barkley brings it up. And all of a sudden he starts saying that first of all, he started blasting the NBA for disrespecting him. And he said that these guys are going to be on a revenge tour this season. And they're coming for the entire NBA. And they better watch out. So for those of you who didn't hear what he had to say to Bill Simmons, a fairly short a soundbite I want to play for you now. And then I'm going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to Charles Barkley here.
I think the one thing the NBA did screwing up was pissing off Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. I truly believe.
Oh, we're doing this now? I had that. Let's go. Let's do it.
I think Jaylen getting left off the Olympic team and Jayson not playing. First of all, they were already terrific players already.
Yeah.
And I think both of them gonna have the red ass.
That's good for me though, right? I'm actually glad they got the chips on the shoulder after a title.
No
that
question.
Never happens.
No question. I tell people, I says, yo, man, I really think both of those guys, number one, they're the defending champs. That's going to take their confidence to another level. But the NBA found a way to piss both of them off this summer. How about that?
I know.
Only the NBA can do that. Well, let's piss off two of the top 10 players in the NBA after they're coming off a championship. Now, I don't think maybe Isaiah Thomas was treated unfairly on a dream team, but I cannot think of any other scenario where the NBA pissed off two players more than they did this summer with Jayson and Jaylen. I really believe that sincerely.
Well, and you might add 3 because Giannis got left off Christmas. They were like, yeah, you're not even a Christmas superstar anymore. And I think he's putting the chips on his shoulder too.
So you heard what Charles Barkley had to say. What are my thoughts on this? Were the Boston Celtics stars disrespected? Absolutely. 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 There's no two ways to slice it. They were absolutely disrespected. Jaylen Brown was disrespected by not even being selected for the team. There's no excuse for not selecting Jaylen Brown. Not one. Jaylen Brown deserved to be on that roster as much as any other player outside of Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, and LeBron James. Those guys had to be there, right? No discussion. But everybody else that made that roster, he deserved to be there as much as the rest of them. You don't disrespect the reigning finals MVP by not inviting him to be on the Olympic. There's no excuse for that. And then to add insult to injury, after Kawhi Leonard gets pulled from the team, you now replace him with one of his teammates. You don't do that, right? That was disrespectful. Let's look at Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum was the best player on the Boston Celtics all season long. He's a guy that a lot of NBA players respect, current and former. A lot of NBA players respect. They love his basketball game. It turned off a lot of NBA guys to see how Steve Kerr, Eric Spoelstra, and Tyronn Lue played Jayson Tatum. They didn't like it. They did not like it. And at the end of that, Jayson Tatum actually came out and made some statements on his experience on Team USA, and we actually produced a show about it. Essentially, what he said was, to paraphrase, he said it was a humbling experience. He said it was a very, very difficult experience for him. He said that a lot of people were reaching out to him to give him encouragement, to kind of help him go through it. He even then questioned, get this part, he even questioned whether or not he would be willing to participate for the 2028 team. Yes, he was turned off so much that he's unsure that he would even want to be on the 2028 Olympic team. Yes, that's what he said. And if you know anything about what's going to happen in 2028, we're not even sure the United States may bring home the gold, because LeBron and all these guys are going to be retired by that time. So now you're going to be waiting on the young guys. So imagine having a 2028 team where you don't even have Jayson Tatum or Jaylen Brown not because of what they did, because they were flagrantly disrespected. That's the first. And the second thing, I think he's right. I think there's going to be fire in their belly. I think they're going to want to come back this season to prove a point. They're going to want to demolish the NBA. And one of the hardest people to beat, kinds of people to beat in this world, are not talented people. They're not those people. Are people that are motivated and that are driven. Those people are hard to beat. Now, if you now add on top talented people that are driven, it's you can forget about it. You can forget about it, because what's driving them is not what's driving every other guy on a nightly basis. These guys are going to be driven to prove a point and to make everyone look bad. And I think they're going to take out their wrath on the entire NBA, certainly on the Eastern Conference. I think the Boston Celtics are going to be the best team in the Eastern Conference from the jump. Last season, they won 64 games. Hear me well. Last season, they won 64 games. Do not be surprised if they try to win 70. Don't be surprised. The Golden State Warriors were motivated to make history by having the best record ever against the Chicago Bulls. This team may be motivated by something else. And to quote Kobe, they're going to be driven by the darker emotions. What are the darker emotions? Anger, resentment, those things. They're very, very powerful emotions. These guys are going to be angry, and I think that it's going to be a bloodbath for the NBA this season, and I 100% concur with the comments that Charles Barkley put forward. So what I want to know from you guys is this. What do you think about the points that Charles Barkley made? Do you think that the Boston Celtics were disrespected, and do you think that they're going to be on a revenge tour this season? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you guys on the next show. Peace.